including the following. The launch of the Safer Digital Ghana, which was done by the Vice President in 2018. The launch of the Point of Contact for Incident Reporting, which was launched by the Sector Minister, Honorable Eslosu Ekufu, in 2019. The development of the Computer Emergency Response ecosystem, including a setup at the NCA, but also our engagement with the Central Bank for the financial sector. The revision of Ghana's national cybersecurity policy and strategy, which has been enhanced to the level of international standard. We've also drafted a cybersecurity bill which seeks to regulate the cybersecurity ecosystem of the country and to further consolidate our gains as far as our cybersecurity development is concerned. But most importantly, we've also signed up to 2 international conventions, which we are implementing. These are certain milestones which have also attracted international attention, including the Council of Europe, which has recognized Ghana as a hub for capacity building, ECOWAS Commission, which has then requested Ghana to lead cybersecurity in the sub-region, but also the World Bank, which has further built the confidence in investing in our digital economy. I think we haven't gotten it yet. We're still on a journey, as a matter of fact, but they are critical milestones. The main reason is the fact that we have a strong political commitment to cybersecurity. Take this from me as advisor. I think political commitment has been one of the fundamental successes, determinant that has really brought us this far. But most importantly, I think we've also been privileged to have a champion for cybersecurity in the person of the Minister for Communications, Honorable Eslosu, who has persistently led the fights, led the charge towards improving Ghana's cybersecurity readiness. I think we're grateful for the leadership of the country, but also for the technical working group for their support in getting to where we have gotten to. Let's continue and scale up our digital protection.
The technical working group has been divided into subgroups. We have the criminal justice, defense and intelligence, stakeholder engagement sub-working group, and the SET, that's the computer emergency response team sub-working groups. And all these groups have worked assiduously to see the level that we have in cybersecurity as a nation. And outside this country, Ghana is recognized as one of the leading nations when it comes to cybersecurity.
NCA is the telecommunications sector regulator in Ghana. Telecommunications is one of the critical sectors, according to Ghana's national cybersecurity strategy and policy. Now, in the past, there has only been CERGH that was established in 2014, but following the efforts by government, several sectors, including telecommunications, have set up cybersecurity teams and sets, of which NCA is one.
Being a member of the National Cyber Technical Working Group has been very profitable, both to my institution, to the group, and also to the National Cybersecurity Center. In this wise, there have been certain occasions where discussions has led us to get people to help my institution. And as I speak, as a part or a member of the criminal justice sector, we were able to negotiate successfully with the FBI, or let's call it legal attaché of the US Embassy, and YOCO, the Ghana Police Service, were equipped with tools to forensically examine digital devices. And as I speak, they have given us computers, they have given us tools, they have also established a lab for us. If it has not been because of the national cybersecurity collaboration, we wouldn't have come this far.
Our contribution is very significant in the sense that when you look at the different areas that the critical national infrastructure falls in, everyone and every entity for that matter uses personal data for different purposes. For collecting data on travelers or employees or citizens one way or the other, people who are doing the right thing, people who are malicious and trying to do the wrong things. All these categories of individuals have rights under the Data Protection Act to be protected.
The mandate for the FIC and the collaboration between the National Cybersecurity Office is one of very deep collaboration, because we at the FIC see cybersecurity and cyber crime as one of the predicate offenses of money laundering and terrorist financing.
The National Communications Authority has supported the National Cybersecurity Center's efforts, which led to the accession of the Budapest Convention by Ghana.
From GCNet's perspective, we've come in as a public-private partner. We've partnered with the National Cybersecurity Secretariat. First, we sponsored the program because we believe that what the Secretariat is doing actually bodes well for the nation. Now, we have to actually understand that the times in which we are now are dangerous times with a lot of cybersecurity threats. There's a lot of ransoms, there are breaches taking place across the globe, and Ghana is no exception. And so the work of the Secretariat, we believe we need to support, because without that support, no international body will have the confidence to come and implement solutions in Ghana.
Within the last 3.5 years of our establishment as a center, we've achieved some significant milestones, including the following. The launch of the Safer Digital Ghana, which was done by the Vice President in 2018. The launch of the Point of Contact for Incident Reporting, which was launched by the Sector Minister, Honorable Esla Osuekufu, in 2019. The development of the computer emergency response ecosystem, including a setup at the NCA, but also our engagement with the central bank for the financial sector. The revision of Ghana's national cybersecurity policy and strategy, which has been enhanced to the level of our international standard. We've also drafted a cybersecurity bill which seeks to regulate the cybersecurity ecosystem of the country and to further consolidate our gains as far as our cybersecurity development is concerned. But most importantly, we've also signed up to 2 international conventions, which we are implementing. These are certain milestones which have also attracted international attention, including the Council of Europe, which has recognized Ghana as a hub for capacity building.
umishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane.
For today, please let's rise up for a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the gift of human love. Thank you for bringing us here safely. Thank you for your protection throughout the night. We pray committing our event into your mighty hands. Take charge and let your glory be seen this day. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm filled with gratitude to see all of you here in this room this morning for this very important topic. Embracing change and digital. Hello? So I welcome you once again for today's session, and I'm filled with gratitude to see all of you here this morning for this very important topic, embracing change and digital transformation in COVID-19. Embracing change and digital transformation in COVID-19. A wise man once said, and I quote, "The most evident reality in life is change. The only stability and security you have in life is change." This is by Dr. Miles Monroe. So, I would like to take you through the logistics for today's session before we begin. We are going to have an opening remarks by our National Cybersecurity Advisor, followed by two presentations by industry experts. We go for a health break, and then we will come back for our panel discussion. So, I hope you have a wonderful day today. Please don't be in a hurry to go anywhere. Just sit back, relax, and contribute as much as possible. We may not have the opportunity to ask questions during the presentation because we would want to give our presenters enough time to go through their material. So during the health break session, you can approach them with your questions if you have any, but we will have the opportunity to ask questions during the panel discussion. So if you have any question, you could note it down so that during the panel discussion, you let us know. Thank you. So I would want to acknowledge our partners. We have the Council of Europe, Data Protection Commission, World Bank, National Communications Authority, GIFEC, NITA, African Union, UNICEF, ITU, Accra Digital Center, GDNR. Also, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors for this event. We have Carl Bank, Surfline, Deloitte, ZeroFox, eCrime Bureau, Innovari, Margins ID Group, Tennessee, Isaka, Accra Chapter, Isoko. Also, our media partners, we have Joy News, Metro TV, GBC, Ghana Web, Graphic Online, Kantanka Television, Africa TV, Peace FM, yen.com.gh, City TV, and City FM. Also, I would like to inform you that this event is streaming live on the following platforms: ncsamtv.live, YouTube, National Cybersecurity Center Ghana, and on Facebook, Cybersecurity Ghana. We're also streaming live on City TV, Homebase TV, and DN. So without much ado, we would have our opening remarks by the National Cybersecurity Advisor. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session focusing on embracing change and digital transformation. of course, powered by Covid-19. I think it's important discussion that we are having as part of Ghana's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month event. And I'm privileged as a head of the National Cybersecurity Center of the Ministry of Communication to share a word with you as part of this particular session. It's interesting. I mean, normally when you talk of ICT, change in ICT, there are always concerns about job losses. Let's cite the financial sector, for example. I hear a lot of banks are going for branchless banking, which is also called digital banking. So they are not opening physical spaces anymore. And there are young graduates who have concern, how do we get jobs to work at the branches? And this is not the only sector which is being impacted by such transformation that we are all seeing around us. But I think it's very important we go back to an important scientific principle, which is the principle of the conservation of energy. That principle states that energy cannot be destroyed, but it can only be transformed from one form to the other. I think the implication is really not the question of job losses, but transformation of jobs, possibly. Do we need more engineers who will be building digital platforms? Do we need more engineers who will be protecting the digital infrastructure that is going to run the branchless banking? I think these are the conversations we need to have as to where the change is leading us to and how we take advantage of them. Of course, there are big themes underlining digital transformation. The first one will be artificial intelligence. What are we looking at? Driverless vehicles, we're looking at drones, we're talking of machine learning systems, robotics, all this are ongoing. We're also talking about the blockchain technology, which have gained popularity in the financial sector, but also even in land administration. We are also talking about big data and other developments that are dominating the digital transformation space. From cybersecurity perspective, what are the interests? Of course, these are the changes, inevitable changes. Once again, somebody said, we do not control how, the ship, you don't control the wind, how the wind blows, but you can only, as a captain, navigate in a way that you can take charge of the ship to get to the destination. I think it's the same way. And from cybersecurity perspective, there's a need for national cybersecurity policy and strategy that will address some of those emerging themes as far as digital transformations are concerned. Of course, we need regulations that normally come from cybersecurity legislations when they, how we regulate, for example, the use of artificial intelligence in our ICT development and our ecosystem. The relationship between humans and the technology. Certainly, there ought to be some sort of regulations to guide us. But I think from technical angle also, we should be looking at security by design. How do we build systems that are inherently secured? Well, inherently secure means at least to a certain degree of security. These are the conversations that are of interest as far as cybersecurity is concerned. But let's look at the way forward. Once again, change is inevitable. We might be hesitant at first, but once we do not have control of that change, we just need to have knowledge. We need to, we say knowledge is power. So research and development is key. We need research to give us certain perspectives with respect to the potential disruptive or unintended impact of the change, of the ICT development, of the transformation, so that we can mitigate and direct the change in a way that is of purpose to humanity. This is an important discussion, and I will encourage all of us to participate in the conversation. Share your perspectives, contribute with your worries, with your understanding, and whatever recommendations that governments such as the government of Ghana, the private sector, civil society can bring on board to ensure that collectively we manage this change process in a way that is beneficial to the development of our societies and our country as a whole. I thank you for coming, taking time to participate in this conversation, and I wish you well end the session. Thank you once again.
Indeed, we need regulations to guide our digital transformation. Thank you very much, National Cybersecurity Advisor. So I would like to acknowledge some dignitaries in our midst. We have Mr. Daniel Asariche from Isoko. Please, if you are here with me, could you kindly take your seat in front? Mr. Daniel Asariche from Isoko. Okay. We have Mr. Ajiman Prempe, CEO and co-founder, Grow For Me. Please take your seat with me here. Please let's give him a round of applause. Please let's do it better. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have in our midst Mr. C.K. Bruce. Please, could you kindly join us in front? Please let's clap for him. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So up next on our program, we have a presentation by Mr. Ajiman Prempe, CEO and co-founder of Grow For Me. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, actually. I know it's a morning, and if I'm a boring presenter, you probably will sleep on me. So I'd like to really engage with you in the next 10 minutes. So my name is Ajiman Prempe. Fun fact about me, 4 of my friends and I cycled from Accra to Nigeria on bamboo bicycles in 5 days. So I'm that crazy. So please just give me your attention for a very short time. And just turn it on. Yes, and today's short presentation, I'll be really walking you through how embracing change and digital transformation. I have, my team has personally experienced it in a very unique way, and I'm going to tell you my journey, and I'm going to walk you through how embracing change has been very critical to our business in this particular time. So could you start all the way from the start, please? You're showing everything. Yeah, so background, I'm a co-founder of a company called Asoreba, and I'm currently the CEO and co-founder of a company called Grow For Me. And I just want you to see how change has happened throughout both companies with respect to this particular timing. So our first company focused on church members, and church members really, churches needed a lot of data about them and payments. So with respect to payments and data, we process that for the church and give them all that information. And with the information that we've given to them, it all goes into the bank account too. So you can see church has the information and then money goes into the bank account. That's basically what we did on the last, basically first company. The next image, please. Yeah, so here we found that people were not really adapting to the solution. So what we did was to study, we could drive adoption, and we realized that any church that took transactions into the system and financial records stuck to it. So we stripped off all the management solution and had a beat-down solution. So the beat-down solution we had was basically a solution called My Church Pay. And basically what happens are members who gave, we just took transaction data offline and online, passed it to the church and then to the bank account. So that's basically what we did now. And this really had great adoption. And within the COVID time, something really happened. Transactions grew by 3 times. So if we're doing whatever the number I can tell you, it grew by 3. Now, had we not really looked at the numbers and understood the patterns, we couldn't have really taken advantage of the things that were going to happen during the times of COVID. And at the same time, we had built a solution purposely for businesses. So it was called My Business Pay, and purely for customers making payments to businesses. So what happens is that a customer makes payments to business, and the information goes from the business to the business back end, where they can see, and finally to the bank account. And similarly, we saw transactions increase. So what COVID allowed us to do was to quickly adapt to the fact that people weren't going to do cash transactions. They were going to do just cashless. And luckily for us, we had multiple channels for the payments to happen. One of the channels was payment links. What the payment links offered us was anyone in the world could make payments to a business wherever he was. He didn't need to be present. And then the USSD. I'm sure everybody here has used from some star 17 something, yeah. What that's also offered us was the ability to scale it. Now, many people we saw that were adopting USSD, whilst much more sophisticated people who had websites were adapting the USSD. So here you can see a presentation of WhatsApp payments. He wants to pay with, gets a prompt, and then approves the transaction. There you go. Okay, so puts in his code and then he's done. Then he gets the receipts on WhatsApp. So one of the reasons why we had to really adapt to this channel was it was one of the channels that everybody was on. So WhatsApp was there. Everybody here is who's not on WhatsApp here? Is there anyone who's on WhatsApp? Good. Everybody is on WhatsApp. So we had to try and understand the current trends and adapt to that channel where people could easily adapt. Now, I could talk about what the processes that went into it, but I want to tell another story of how we adapted to, a change within this particular time using our technology tools. Now, my background actually is agric engineering. I have a master in philosophy in agric engineering. And right after MPhil, I spent 5 years building a fintech. But I'd always wanted to combine technology and agriculture. And in that process, 4 of my co-founders, including myself, we built Grow For Me. So what's Grow For Me? Grow For Me really is a crowdfunding and a crowd farming platform that makes it possible for, say, you who wants to farm, but you don't have time. But you have, say, 200 cedis. You wish you could have a small maize farm. You can literally come on our platform and start a maize farm with 200 cedis. What happens is when you pay for the farm, we then go to farmers in very effective communities that are familiar with growing maize and enable them to grow more. So existing farmers will grow between 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 acres. That's 70 to 80% of the food you eat comes from smallholder farmers. So a farmer who grew maybe 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 acres. So we now enable them to grow from 5 to 10 or 3 to 6 acres. We double their output. And at the end of the cycle, when we harvest it, we sell it and pay you back your money with 50% of the profit. So that's basically the business. And what we did, this business was 2 years in the making, officially incorporated in January this year. But what happened and made this business so ripe at this time was COVID had made us understand that when everything is locked down, there's one thing people will always do. What is it? Eat, right? And two, there's a need to scale up the production capacity of farmers. But many farmers will not go to the bank because it's too expensive. Neither would they get the funds they need to expand. So a crowdfunding platform that allows people to pay with no interest and only profit share on their output, it's a very, very fine bargain for the farmer. So I want to just show you a few things and how it worked. You see that it's a technology, it's both web and mobile. People can just click, sponsor the crop. You have soybean, maize, and then pineapple. And what you find is that the process I just explained is really simple. the real catalyst for us to do this was because of the increasing population on the continent. There's going to be about 2.5 billion Africans on this continent by 2030. We're still struggling to feed the existing some say 1.2, some say 1.6 billion. And the reason is that there's really a lack of investment for farmers to expand their capacity. And at the same time, the older farmers are getting tired of farming, their backs are breaking, and the young guys who must actually follow up from them are leaving the rural areas into the cities to do menial tasks, right? You're aware of that. Some are church mates and so on. And no young guy in this generation will want to go and bend and dig for an hour on an acre. And the effect of lack of investments, aging farmers, and young guys leaving the rural areas into the city means there's going to be less food produced against a growing population. So this problem, if not addressed strategically, can create a very big problem. And I know there's a lot of government interventions, but on our company, what we've done is you would see that we combine an ecosystem of people who are excited about agriculture. So if you go to the next slide, I'll just walk you through the journey and the theory of change here we apply. So just the next slide, please. Great. So Grow For Me is in the center. That's a platform. So we find sponsors. So sponsor could be anyone like you who is passionate about agriculture but simply do not have the time or the skill. We take your money on our platform and then we provide that to a farmer in the form of plowing, seed, and fertilizer, and the things he needs. And also that finance enables him to increase capacity. So a farmer who is sponsored can employ 5 more young people. And because we are plowing the field for him, they don't need to break their backs to plow. They literally just have to farm. So in addition to all that, we provide monitoring using the existing infrastructure of extension officers. And using satellite imagery, we are able to tell how the farm is performing. So our satellite images come from Airbus, similar to what you use on Google Maps to navigate. So 3-day-old, 1-day-old images. Your Google Map will probably be maybe 2 years or some cases 5 years old. Very latest images that allows us to see what's happening. So at Harvest, we basically sell the commodity on the open market or on the Ghana Commodity Exchange and then pay back the sponsor. And then the profit is shared. So the profit is shared between the sponsor. The sponsor gets 50%, we get 15%, and the farmer gets 35%. And the farmer actually can make more because we do contracts with farmers on the lowest possible output of the farm. That's maybe on an acre. The farmer can do 12 bags, but we do a contract on 8 bags. So a well-performing farmer could literally make more money than the 35%. So if you look at the timelines from which we actually launched the crowdfunding platform, that was in June, we've already have about 1,500 acres cultivated, 288 farmers. 3 crops, maize, pineapple, and soybean, and 205 sponsors across 10 different countries. And it's amazing because within 3 days, we were able to raise like $35,000 just within 3 days. We were always oversubscribed, so we have to always close our platform. And I'm so excited that just last week we got our SEC clearance to, we are one of the first and leading, crowdfunding platforms ever to start here in the country. So we are ready to scale up. But this time provides us a very unique opportunity because when you have COVID-19 keeping everybody at home, yet requiring it gives you a unique opportunity to innovate and bring in your technology and then connect an untapped market like farmers together. So I just want to end with my team. And once again, with respect to our theme, embracing change and digital transformation, I have a very dynamic team, and most of my team are remote. We don't meet in an office like we are meeting here. Everybody's in a different part of the country. Some are in India, and so on. So what happens is businesses of today, which would thrive, are going to use technology heavily. So from your Zoom to your WhatsApp, which seems like simple technologies, but are very powerful, because one of the things we do with our farmers and our teams are monetized. Using WhatsApp, their phones, they're able to take pictures of the field, and we're able to take a look at it. And using satellite images, we're able to tell the temperature, the rain levels. In addition to that, our insurance mechanisms actually is triggered by satellite images. So if there's excess rain, we're able to determine that there's excess rain, so there's a trigger and a need for insurance cover to be released. Once again, using technology. So COVID has really given us opportunity to innovate and use technology in a very unique way. until COVID, you would drive all the way there to see things for yourself before you take action. So I'm very excited that we have the chance to innovate in this time, and the technologies that we have are actually making it possible. With respect to security, I'll just touch briefly on it. All our transactions on our platform are actually encrypted. Two-factor authentication or it will be, in the industry, it's called 3D Secure to approve transactions. So you have someone from maybe Georgia or in Atlanta in US trying to make payment. He will not make payment with his card if it's not certain the platform is secured. So all our transactions are secured. We support over 5 card schemes: Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Diners, JCB, and Union cards. And for our platform itself, it resides on a global platform. I know most of you know AWS. That gives you dedicated infrastructure to run. Now, one of the things we've had to really take seriously has been GDP laws and policies across the continent. Because we have sponsors across, you have to be very careful how you deal with people's data, whether they are in Europe or they are in the US. There are different laws. So that with the new developments also requires that you adapt to new laws across territories. Otherwise, you cannot do business at scales. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end my presentation here, and I'll be happy to talk to you more about how we are embracing change and digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajiman Prempe, for your presentation. Grow for me, please. How many people are interested in agriculture? Yeah, so he's your guy. You should contact him. Thank you very much. So our next presentation would be done by Mr. Zose Alija of Isoko. Please forgive me if I did not get the pronunciation right. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause.
One time I was called Rose because the person calling the name thought it was spelled wrong. The spelling is an X-O-S-E. So she was right to say Zose. It's okay. But for the brothers in the house, it's called Jose. So the X sounds an H. So just in case you see me somewhere else, you call me Rose, I will appear. You call me Kose, I'll appear. I can also do with Jose. All right. What protocol says I should say good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll kickstart by giving you all a feel of my first online food order. I'm a very tech-savvy guy, and it took me a long time to order for food online. And the reason was pretty simple. The problem was not the technology. I couldn't trust if my food was secured coming to me without anybody putting anything in it. So how can I order for food and be guaranteed that the dispatch rider will get the food to me safe? It was a challenge I had for a long time before placing my first pizza order online. And every other minute I'll call, where are you? Just to make sure that the guy has not stopped to put something in the food. That was my first challenge. It was a security threat for me. Then my first order was made successfully, and then the second one, and the third one. And what got me placing orders and now placing orders for my family was because the first dispatch rider didn't poison me. So there was trust. So I started trusting the process. But before that adoption, there was a security threat. Something I had in my own head. I'm not sure you all had the same. Some of you just probably placed your first order because it was the cool thing to do. I had to go through this. Then the next struggle was, how do I get my Visa card onto a platform and not have my bank account go empty? the following day. That was the next challenge I had. So there was also another trust issue. And I had defined my own security concerns. And I'm not sure everybody walked that journey. It could have been a different journey for all of us. But once again, one successful transaction led to another and another. And I currently have my card on so many platforms right now. And once in a while, I get a chill when I see some money go out. Like AWS swiped me a couple of days back. And I was like, hey, hold on. But what are we driving here? COVID has made something very exciting of the new normal today, which is the fact that many who could have gone through the cycles I went through have been forced into digital transformation almost overnight. Kids got home. I have a couple myself. And all parents now have to figure out how to turn on a computer, how to connect to internet, how to install Zoom. And some of us were opening Facebook accounts. It was the first time in my long life I had to have a session with my parents because they are not seeing me for the whole period through a Google conferencing, Google Meet. So a lot of people through COVID have now found themselves into this digital space. This brings a lot of responsibility to us, industry stakeholders, which is the fact that with all the fears and worries that they may have, if we don't give them the kind of confidence I had after ordering my first food or after putting my card on that first system, and their data gets compromised or their security concerns and needs are not met, that which could have been a blessing in disguise can already become a big challenge that we'll be confronting. And I'm very happy that we are all here right after COVID to be taking advantage of this opportunity and to forge a better way forward. So for those of you who may not know, Isoko is a technology company right here in Ghana. And our core business has been to profile people, collect data, and help for the delivery of services. And we do this in partnership with organizations. So if you're a business and your organization, and you want to profile people, and you want to collect data, to deliver services, to these people, Isoko is the place. Isoko is the place to be, and that is what we have been doing. And that is not just here in Ghana, but also across Africa. In Ghana, we have helped NGOs and government to profile and serve over 4 million people, and also a decade of our existence. We've also profiled over 1 million farmers who have been receiving agronomic advice. So I was really impressed to see what my brother, Mr. Premper, is doing. Our church uses this app. Yeah, so I find myself up there as well. And we are impacting the lives of these farmers by giving them timely information to help grow their businesses. And maybe a nice partnership will be good to also build a network of what we offer to Mr. Premper for the So when it comes to cybersecurity, and you have got all of this data, and you are profiling data for all of these organizations and everything, Isoko cannot be exempted. We actually right in the middle of it, given the fact of the work that we have been doing over the decade. But the truth is this, before the pandemic, technology was on the rise. COVID just sped things up. But before the pandemic, COVID was on the rise. But the numbers got very exciting right after that. Momo transactions in Africa just soared. The only way you could send money, because of all the precautionary measures that were put in place, the only way you could send money from one place to another was electronically. You could even have access to the bank, and very few people had their way to navigate around online banking. So Momo became the thing. You could easily get someone to load your Momo. And MTN has really enjoyed out of this. The numbers show that from June last year to that of this year, there's been a year-on-year increment in their accounts for about 6.5%, which is in principle from 3 billion cedis to 4.5 billion cedis. There's also been a lot of increase in online transactions. I hope you all know Bezos, right? He became a millionaire, let's say the richest man in the world overnight, thanks to COVID. Jack Ma is also cashing in heavily. And Mark Zuckerberg is not doing too bad either. We are all on Facebook trying to get connected and stay connected. But the interesting thing in all of this is, besides the pharmaceuticals and the health, all of these companies are technology companies, like we are. And working from home and remote working is becoming the new normal. I think for some it has already been the practice. But now it's remote work. And for my fellows, you will remember that when COVID hit, the biggest burden is how do you get people working remotely, securely? If you are in an office, you can actually have all your security protocols, you can lock down the internal networks, you can do so many things to make sure that the data is safe. You can say no pen drives in, no pen drives out. You don't bring laptop from home in, you have all of these policies internally. The office are like, take everything home and work from home. Now this becomes, and this was some of the challenges that fellow IT engineers and security experts were having or faced through the period. And successfully, since we are all here, we're able to maneuver the terrain. And it is actually a sleepless night for us now to keep ensuring that we stay safe and secure. So all these advantages that we've been given has made our lives easier and also helped it done faster. I remember the good old days. No matter where you are, if you want to get home quickly, you have to find a way to the closest road. Then you stop a taxi. Now you can just call Uber, Bolt, Taxify, and then they have to do the headache of locating you and driving you wherever you have to go. This sort of convenience that digital transformations have brought. In Isoko's lines of work, transformation meant we also had to improve the way in which we did our data collection. Our solutions and apps were face onward. So agents or enumerators go to the field and profile people using an Android health device. During COVID, there was a lockdown. You couldn't do this any longer. And that was one of the challenges. We found ourselves facing during this period. Notwithstanding, because we are known to have the most powerful platforms, on the continent to profile millions of people within weeks. We had the likes of the World Bank coming to us to say, we want you to collect data for us on the impact of COVID, to our members who are here in Ghana, or to citizens here in Ghana. So now we have to figure out how do you collect data without going to the field securely. It was all of these challenges, but we were able to take it on. Using our call-assisted telephone interviews, also known as CATI. And what we did in there was that we had our call center call in and run these surveys online. One challenge is, so how do we make sure all of these people's data, all of these phone numbers and everything, readily available? That's one challenge. So He came up with some security measures, which I believe that measures which I believe that you need to practice. Someone will be with you today. Someone will be with you tomorrow. He's no longer with you. Tomorrow he's no longer with you. He'll go somewhere else. He'll go somewhere else. So you need to also be very careful. So you need to also be very careful when it comes to security. How much information they have access to when they have access to when they are. Because when they are not with you, because when they are not how much information they can carry away. How much information they can carry away. So what our CATI implementation did was get to the call center, calling and running these surveys, calling and running these seeing the contacts of the people they were calling. The contacts of the people they were calling. This is your next call. Push a button, you call the person. Push a button, you call the person. And that was it. And that was it. You don't see any numbers. You don't see any numbers. You don't see any personal information. You don't see any personal information. That can get one compromise. One compromise. So for digital transformation, to propel us forward, we need to work together. We need to work together. Like I give the example earlier on. If my first food order went bad, I would never order online again. For all those who are signing on to our various applications, and I'll be signing on to that investment. But if my first crowd funding goes bad, and my data is breached, and I don't get my 50% return. What is most likely to happen is that I will not sign on to the next one. So every one of us in this room, we owe it to ourselves. To actually make sure that all these opportunities through digital transformation, we make the best of it. Because Mr. Prempe fails, it affects Isoko. It affects the same way if you fail, it affects us, and if we fail, it affects you. Because we are, it's the same clients that we are serving. For them, all they can say is that these IT thing, all this software thing, they have a bubble in which they put us. So it's very, very important that we have this kind of discussion to protect our interests, so we can gain more out of this. Well, change is a big challenge for most people. COVID has made change by force. But organizations need to invest more into training. And also as individuals, to educate ourselves more. We don't know it all. The very second you think that you know it all, then there's a breach. And from one software house to providers out here, workarounds for solution and what we call development debt. Should not be found in our practices. When you have to solve a problem, especially in these times, we have to solve the problem well. You don't go like work around it. And usually that person on your team who seems to be isolated, who is not really included. They are the ones that can working around things, and then to sit in your application, and then down the line, and then down the line, it can be taken advantage of. So we need all round. We need to have discussions around the systems, we need to share. That's why I'm very happy. And that's why my company is very happy for. My company is very happy these conversations that are going on as well. Finally, I would like to add that cybersecurity and data protection policies are very important. I'll encourage all of us to get ourselves regulated and read a lot. There's GDPR out there. GDPR out there. We also have the Ghana we also have the Data Protection Act, and we also have an agency on authority. That's it to get ourselves. We need to get certified. We need to get ourselves compliant. Compliance, specifications. What has driven the whole technology. We cannot do without it. So I will encourage all of us to get ourselves compliant and research more into security concerns and how to improve security for us and for all those who have gotten on board this digital train, and for the success of our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jose please, how do you pronounce that one?
Alija.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jose Alija. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Indeed, digital transformation has improved our access to information and has improved our lives for the better. And we need to work hand in hand during this change. Just in case, while you are embracing this change, you encounter any form of cybersecurity, cybercrime incidents, don't hesitate to call 292. You can also send us a text message on 292, or you can report to our website. You can report via our website on www.cybersecurity.gov.gh/report. Else, if you have an Android or an iPhone, you could download our NCSC app, and there's a section where you can report incidents through. Or, if you still want to reach out to us and chat, you can use our WhatsApp platform on 050-160-3111. I would like to acknowledge our sponsors once again. They made this event possible. They helped in sponsoring this event that you are partaking of today. Carl Bank, Surfline, Deloitte, Zero Fox, eCrime Bureau, Innovari, Margins ID Group, Tennessee, Isaka, Isoko. Our media partners, Joy News, Metro TV, GBC, Ghana Web, Graphic Online, Kantanka Television, Africa TV, yen.com.gh, City TV. Okay, so some dignitaries joined us during our presentation, and I would want to introduce them. So we have Madam Jacqueline Hansen Kote from MTN Ghana. Please, let's give her a round of applause. Please, could you join us? Sure. So she will join us. And then we also have in our midst Mr. Robert Daniels, Technosol. Mr. Robert Daniels, please, could you take your seat in front? And we also have Mr. Carl Saki, Isaka Ghana. Yes, Mr. Carl Saki is at the back there. Thank you very much. Okay, so next we have a presentation by Mr. Robert Daniels, Technosol. Please, could you join me upstage? Please, let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. I represent a company called Technosolve, and Technosolve represents a global leader in cryptography and encryption named Thales. I'm here today to speak to you about Thales and the role that Thales plays in the world of securing digital data and digital identities and ensuring that we are compliant in terms of data protection and data security. I've listened to the last couple of speakers with deep attention, and I realize that still we seem to have fixation with only trying to encrypt to a high level transactions when they have to deal with money. So of course, the security in the finance world is led by the big players like Visa, MasterCard, and the PCI DSS institutions. So they mandate that you must have certain hardware security modules in your institution to be able to have encryption keys that meet the level of the FIPS, Federal Information Processing Standard 140, to level 2 or level 3. In terms of accessing normal data within an institution, the compliance agencies seem to fall way behind that of financial transactions. So if you talk to a banker and you say, oh, do you know what an HSM is? He'll probably say yes, because HSMs have been used in banks for the last couple of decades. And if you speak to people in general, non-financial institutions, and you ask hardware security module. But the purpose of a hardware security module is to store safely in a tamper-proof box or device cryptographic keys which never leave that box. So if FIPS says that you must secure financial transactions, and if PCI DSS says you must secure financial transactions to level 2 or level 3 of FIPS, how come in our institutions, when we access corporate data, we do not have any regulation that says that you must encrypt according to these security standards? And I always give an example. In my early life, I used to work at Social Security and National Insurance Trust. And if a cashier came short, let's say by 100 CDs or 200 CDs, that cashier was, disciplined, either suspended or made to pay the money back. But if a data entry clerk, for example, put in wrong data or didn't even put in data at all, and the data got lost, nothing happens to that person. So there seems to be a mismatch in terms of importance when it comes to data and when it comes to financial transactions. And we are trying to bridge that gap, and Thales is trying to bridge that gap between the way in which we process general transactions in an institution and the way in which we process financial institutions, because there seems to be a huge gap in our approach towards that. So Thales is a global leader, over 80,000 employees worldwide in over 60 countries. Their turnover last year is over 19 billion. They specialize, as I said, in provision of HSM and HSM-based solutions. They have the flagship product, which is the PayShield 8,000, 9,000, and now 10,000. It's a PayShield HSM for electronic fund transactions that come from POS terminals or ATMs. But they also specialize in a general purpose HSM called the Thales Luna. And they have solutions built on the Luna which deal with credentials like digital identity, credential management, data protection, compliance, policy, key management for keys. So if you have an institution where you have different types of applications sitting in different types of databases all across, scattered all across the country or in the cloud, you have a comprehensive solution which enables you to manage all the keys and manage all the credentials which are required for all the different systems, for all the different employees within your organization, and give them digital identities and manage the digital identities in a seamless manner which ensures that your data is safe. As we go on this digital transformation, we no longer have data stored in secured rooms, in silos and servers, etc., etc. Just as the earlier speaker said, you can go home and start working from your tablet or laptop or your mobile phone in a car or in an Uber or in a bus and be working. And what is the guarantee that as you work, your data passes through some secured, some unsecured networks? What is the probability that somebody can get to that data as it is in motion? And then again, if you do lose your phone or lose your tablet, what is the probability that somebody can also have access to your data when it is at rest? the probability is very high. And we need to safeguard and take the precautions at the highest level, not at software encryption level, but at the hardware encryption level. So here today, I just want you to leave with Thales, to remember Thales, let it become a household name for us, and to have an introduction to the types of solutions Thales has through a presentation, and to visit our website, and also to invite you to a webinar which we will be having on the 3rd of November, which will give us more time to expatiate on the data protection solutions. So I'd like to play for you a video from Thales. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
The world is going through a digital transformation, touching every aspect of our lives. How we discover the world, how we work, how we look after ourselves, how we get around. Every time we use online services and connected devices, we create and exchange billions of pieces of data. This data makes us. It forms our online life. By linking it with our digital identity, we can prove that it's ours, access it, and decide to share it or keep it private. But imagine what would happen if we couldn't identify ourselves or if our personal data wasn't secure. The vast amounts of data generated by the Internet of Things would no longer be reliable. When you cross the border, your digital identity would not be recognized. Your company's network would be open to everyone, and people could access your personal data without your permission, turning the opportunities of the digital transformation to dust. One company is behind the scenes, keeping your data safe in the sharing economy. That company is Thales. We're the only ones to tackle the two main causes of cyber attacks: identity theft and data breaches. We do this by providing next-generation digital security built from two technologies: secure digital identification and data encryption. We already operate it for many well-known businesses and governments in any cloud and hybrid environment, protecting trillions of data exchanges without you even realizing. As an independent security expert, we guarantee digital privacy and compliance with data protection regulations. We put you back in control of your data and don't make money from it. Combining digital identity and data protection for next-generation digital security. Thales.
In a world powered by data, the cloud, and software, the complexity of new challenges demands decisive moments to ensure security across your organization. Whether the moment is building an encryption strategy, creating more value in your software, or ensuring trusted access to the cloud, you can rely on Thales to secure your digital transformation. What will be your decisive moment to secure your data and software? Discover and classify the most sensitive information from the cloud and data centers to virtual environments. Secure your sensitive data with advanced encryption technologies. Secure, store, and manage your encryption keys in the cloud, hybrid, and on-premise environments. Control and authenticate user access to sensitive data in the cloud. License, deliver, and protect the software in your devices and services. The people you rely on to safeguard your privacy rely on Thales.
We are going for the health break, during which we'll take a picture, a group picture, to commemorate this session. So thank you very much.
Today, sensitive data is everywhere. Data is located in many places, from on-premises data centers to the cloud. Siloed and legacy approaches
abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane ithando lwakho dala imilingi sukuma ishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukuvakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela abane nangulomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 nomlilo lilo 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 ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa kudala ngibona ngiphila kanje ngibona ngiphila kanje kungenxa yothando lwakhe mehlo wami afolewe ndlebe zami zimamele lomo wami uthetha naye kuye yedwa wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo wavutha umlilo namalangabe wavutha umlilo wavutha umlilo nangulo mlilo lilo lilo
precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and technology that offer us access and convenience, and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there. There are many reasons we choose to protect things. Because they're valuable, or vulnerable, precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and technology that offers access and convenience, and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there. There are many reasons we choose to protect things. Because they're valuable, or vulnerable, precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and technology that offers access and convenience, and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there. There are many reasons we choose to protect things. Because they're valuable, or vulnerable, precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and technology that offers access and convenience, and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there. There are many reasons we choose to protect things. Because they're valuable, or vulnerable, precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and
Nangulo mlilo sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane ithando lwakho dalimilisa ukumishosha lentando yakho abangaboni sebeyobona mina ngeke ngikwazi ukufakazela omunye umuntu kodwa ithando lakho mina ngizotshela bane
Live on ncsamtv.live, on YouTube, National Cybersecurity Center Ghana, on Facebook, Cybersecurity Ghana. We are also streaming live on City TV, Homebase TV, and DN. I would also like to acknowledge our sponsors once again. We have Thales, Technosolve Ghana Limited, we have Carl Bank, we have Surfline, we have Deloitte, Zero Fox, E-Crime Bureau, Innovari, Margins ID Group, Tennessee, Isaka Accra Chapter, Isoko. We also have our partners, Council of Europe, Data Protection Commission, World Bank, National Communications Authority, GIFEC, NITA, African Union, ECOWAS, UNICEF, ITU, Accra Digital Center, GDNR. I would also like to acknowledge our media partners. We have Joy News, Metro TV, GBC, Ghana Web, Graphic Online, Kantanka Television, Peace FM, Africa TV, yen.com.gh, Homebase TV, City FM. So I welcome you all to this session. So we are going to have our panel discussion, and it's going to be moderated by our daddy, Mr. Kalsaki. But before he comes, Mr. Kalsaki has been in IT since 1994 with specialization in IT security, risk, audit, and governance. He did computer science with an MBA from China Europe International Business School. He's a doctoral student with Gordon Institute of Business Science with the University of Pretoria, South Africa. Our moderator is also the Deputy General Manager for GCNet and the President for ISACA Ghana. Without wasting much time, I would like to introduce Mr. Carl Saki. Please let's give him a round of applause. Welcome, Mr. Carl Saki. So, at this juncture, I would hand over the microphone to our abled moderator to invite on stage his experts who would be deliberating on matters concerning embracing. Just a minute. Embracing change and digital transformation in COVID-19. Embracing change and digital transformation in COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's some way when they call you our daddy, because I'm actually very young, and there are many people who are much older than me, so the daddy bit, but don't worry. Thank you. So I'm going to call our distinguished panel to the stage, and I always like to do the ladies first thing, because this panel, 4 strong men, 1 lady. I think we should clap for her even before she starts. Shall we welcome Jackie Hansen-Kote to the stage? And then next, I'm going to call Ken Ashibe, the CEO of the Telecom Chamber. Jackie, I think there. They put the telcos together. No. I have to. Okay. Next, I'm going to call CK Bruce, the CEO, Innovari Ghana Limited. Innovari Lenin, sorry. We'll have Richard Ochrifosu, the DG, NITA, National Information Technology Authority. He's a very big man. He's sitting right by me. Yes, I have some very difficult questions for Richard. And last but not the least, Victor Addison, Security Architectural Consult. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please pardon me, I don't like sitting. I like to stand. I think I enjoy it that way. And then social distance, so I'll stand far from you whilst I take up mine. There are mics on each of the, I think you all have mics. And we're going to start by looking at this topic, very interesting one, embracing change and digital transformation. And the presentations we've had so far this morning kind of have spoken to the subject. On the 11th of March, the whole world changed. The WHO came out and said that we have a pandemic. Our lives have not been the same ever since then. Then on the 29th of March, we had the president come in and give an address where, for many people, that's the first time we're seeing an actual lockdown of the economy. And from 0100 hours of the 30th, we had a 3-week lockdown. People were scrambling. Businesses were scrambling. We needed to get to work. But then it was one of those chaotic scenes where you had to go start chasing out for national security passes to be able to work. And suddenly, that's when you realize that if you had a GV plate, it was a very important thing. But then he also recognized that if your business had put certain structures in place, you were able to adapt to it. The effect of COVID, we know what it's been so far. Now with social distancing, I mean, so who would have imagined that we'll all be sitting here with masks on our faces? I don't think that anybody could see that coming. Companies that had digital transformation, there was always some digital transformation taking place. I don't know what it is. The gentleman and lady here will tell us a little more about digital transformation in the various sectors in which they are. Actually started coming up with all sorts of things, and we saw different levels of readiness of businesses. Boards of directors, and to date, I think it's still happening. We're seeing a lot of changes taking place. So what we're going to look at today, we're going to see the change that's come. Is it permanent? Are we going to stop once COVID ends? Is it going to be the new normal? Because there's talk of new normal, I don't know, but our experts here will tell us. And then we'll look at the cybersecurity issues with regards to COVID, and also the digital transformation that's taking place. We'll profile, or we'll try to come up with some points on what we think the world will be like. We will take questions from you. We'll take contributions from you. We'll try as much as possible. And this panel here, very resourceful lady and gentlemen, and they'll try to answer everything for you. So I'm going to start with, normally, I think the institution that we are very dependent on them, but actually have been the savior for most economies, practically everybody. It's the telcos. Because you realize that telecommunication has demonstrated their critical importance with the infrastructure they provided. Without telecommunications, COVID, the economy would have come to a halt. I believe we actually agree with that. And so I'll start with Ken, CEO of the Telco Chamber. You can tell us a little bit about the digital transformation that's taking place in the industry. We'll talk about some of the impact of COVID, and we'll go around through all the speakers. I will do just 90 seconds, a brief one, and then I'll take questions from you. So from Ken, we'll go to Jackie, then we'll come to Victor, CK, and Richard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carl, and good morning to all of us. Well, COVID came in and immediately tested all of us our resilience, And for us in the telecommunication space, there's been a lot of, even before COVID, the issues of digital transformation was a major issue that we've been looking at. And so all the conversations about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, the way networks were things that we're beginning to deal with and grapple with, making sure that we're ready for the future that was being imposed upon us. So the issues of even managing your networks, the issues of using artificial intelligence even to deal with the issues of consumer needs were things that already we're beginning to think about. But immediately, as Carl said, you then had a situation. Now, people could not work from home, but you needed to provide that infrastructure to ensure that people were living their lives. So you had where now your staff who would be manning these call centers could not be there. So the reliance on artificial intelligence to be able to do that was something that was called into question. Also, okay, I'm being asked to take off my mask. So also the challenge of now having to move these workers from home, from the office where you had big pipes to be able to handle the traffic, to now move on to mobile networks, because if they did not have, are you going to handle that? It was not only just for even your staff, but also we saw a shift in traffic. So traffic did not only move from the office home, but the nature of the loads also changed. And all of that, you needed to be able to grapple and deal with the issues of the change. The ability to came to issues of money, and all of that pressure was brought on the networks. But you also were faced with a major global challenge where even being able to bring supplies into the system to be able to manage your also a difficulty. So it called really upon us to be able to fast forward a lot of the things that we have been planning into the future. You found out that when it came into the sort of So when it came to the issues of plans that we had as industry for expansion of the networks, before 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you found out that you had exhausted the capacities that you had, but you still could not bring in the spares, the needed spares that you required to be able to do expansion. So it really called upon a lot of resilience and upon a lot of new thinking. And just as we have been able to demonstrate, at least we did not have the challenges that other markets had where you had networks going down. The networks have been resilient. We've been able to ride the storms that have come. The NCA at some point was also gracious enough to give us some spare spectrum. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure. I think Vodafone have been given an extension. MTN has not gotten theirs yet. But you still have the challenges with the growth of the loads coming in. The issue of cashless, the cashless market was another thing that came up. Working with Bank of Ghana and the various networks, we had to ensure that we're provisioning such that as a lot more people moved onto the digital space to do payments, we're able to provide that support. Not only did that happen, but we also gave every customer that was doing transaction up to 100 cedis, free. It was for free, so P2P transactions were for free. That also meant a lot of load on the system, and you needed to, amongst our members, amongst the interoperability operator, we were able to still keep the networks. So I'm pretty sure that in terms of the technical things that went into our preparation for digital transformation, COVID made sure that we had to speed that, and the resilience had paid off. The resilience that had been built into the networks have paid off. Whether we're going to go back into what we had pre-COVID, I'm pretty not too sure, because COVID, as we see it, we've seen other markets now begin to go into their second waves. Is COVID going to leave us soon? Nobody really can tell. And we would have to ensure that this change that has happened, from the technical point of view, we also are able to provide for that on the social, in terms of the social part and also the human side. All of this has also come with the challenges with going digital and the challenges with fraud, the challenges with cybersecurity. All of those are conversations that I'm pretty sure that we would have today that we need to continue to build on in terms of the resilience of the networks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Jackie, MTN, because you are responsible for IT governance and security. So digital transformation in light of, you look at governance and security and COVID, how has it been like?
Thank you, Carl. So I think Mr. Ashigbe has said a lot in terms of the telcos, and we were on a sort of a path to digital transformation, and COVID just came and accelerated that. You gave the specific date from the 30th. We were all locked down. We had to work from home. We had to transition all our staff to working from home. It was a bit of a scramble. We had to make sure that the staff had the supporting infrastructure to be able to work from home and transition from in-person meetings to the collaborative tools, the Teams, the Zooms, and all the other collaborative tools to ensure business continuity. Mr. Ashigbe said resilience was very important. So at this point, we realized that what we had ingrained in the staff or the pipes that we had laid down, this was the place where it would test their durability. So we put in the necessary infrastructure, sent our staff home, supported them. Security fast became an issue because through COVID we saw a lot of phishing attacks. There were a few high-profile cyber attacks here and there as well, but I think phishing was the main thing that we were seeing across, and we had to sort of put a campaign in place to keep security top of mind. That means a lot of awareness, making sure that everybody was keeping their cyber hygiene up there, making sure that there were these platforms where people could come back to our staff and customers as well to be able to ask the necessary questions. I know we quickly put in an online portal where people could register complaints. We put in WhatsApp and we opened WhatsApp lines for validation. We leveraged our social media platforms so that customers could interact with us when all our offices were closed. People always had questions. Even SIM change, we're doing it remotely, and it was working. So I think we were definitely on a path to digital transformation. COVID accelerated it. It's not a case of going back. I think COVID has proved that it works. For example, working from home works. I go to the office once in a while and I say, wow, I mean, this building is here and it's empty, and we were scrambling for space, we're fighting over places to sit and things like that. But it's empty now and it's working. I must admit that one thing that we saw from the teams where the team needed a lot more support in terms of emotional wellness, mental health issues. Not to say anybody was running mad, but I mean, you need to change your communication when people are working remotely in different backgrounds, in different places. I remember reading when the lockdown was on, when people were debating, should it go on, should it be removed? A guy put something very profound on Facebook saying, for those of us who were for the lockdown, probably you're sitting in your comfortable home, you have rooms with which, that's not the case for everybody. And then, it struck a chord with me because then that's not the case with all your staff. You don't know the conditions in which most people were living in. And not everybody had the proper infrastructure, a proper table to sit at, a proper, desk. I know a lot of complaints came in. People were asking for chairs to support them because they were sitting on chairs that weren't meant for you to sit on to work 8-hour days. So one thing I realized that for cybersecurity, we needed to do a lot of work, and we're still doing a lot of work because the perimeters for cybersecurity are shifted from your company to people's homes. And you need to make sure that you are still safe, you are still protected, people are adhering to all the protocols which you have given them. People are taking their information security awareness seriously. You're continually dialoguing with them, making sure that they understand, you're answering their questions, and also you're supporting the staff as they work from home and giving them the necessary support in terms from the managerial point of view, giving them the necessary support to ensure that they are able to conduct their work in that same manner.
Wow, a lot of interesting stuff. Victor, you with a security architectural consult, I'd like to look at it from your perspective. As a security professional, you do a lot of the consulting. What have your observations been so far with regards to COVID, digital transformation, and all the security issues that have come out of it?
Thank you very much, Carl. Speaking for the consumer market as a security consultant, one thing we've noticed that most businesses have realized that having an online presence isn't a choice anymore, because due to COVID, people cannot drive to your offices or your physical premises to transact business. So most businesses now are also moving online, but it's not just about moving online, it's about also being safe online. We had a client who came to us once and they were complaining about their website had been duplicated and someone had forged the exact same site, and the only difference on it was the email address and their telephone number. And one thing, analyzing that website, I realized that the fake site was more secure than the original site. They didn't have an SSL certificate. There were so many vulnerabilities on the original site as compared to the fake site. So you'd realize that most businesses want to move online. There has been a lot of growth of online sales. Just in April, Forbes conducted a study in US and Canada, and they realized that purchases had moved between 129% to about 146%. And everyone is buying online. Delivery services are supplying because people can't reach the businesses directly. So there's a need for an online presence, by a secure online presence. Another thing we've noticed is the rise of cloud-based services, because even for businesses who had data centers and they had physical on-premise infrastructure, they realized that people can't come to those places to work. They can't have or maintain before COVID struck. So they are moving a lot of the infrastructure to the cloud so that their users can easily reach them. So going to the cloud also has its challenges, because then you have to be secure. Most of the banks who even go to the cloud, what they want is a hybrid cloud network where they have one foot on premise and another foot in the cloud. But when you have such an infrastructure, then you have to look at your VPN connections. You have to look at how people are accessing in a secure way and how your data is being stored on premise and also in the cloud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. CK Bruce, Innovari Learning, and I know you do a lot of ISO certification. You've been very busy these few days. Maybe you can share some light for us, and you can let us know whether COVID has been an opportunity for you, because he's smiling, and then we'll probably collect some more tax from him after we're done. But then, yeah, at least let's start with that, and I'll come back to some other interesting points.
Thank you so much, Carl. Yes, it's been interesting, but my increase in work is not actually from COVID. It's actually from Bank of Ghana. So God bless Bank of Ghana. But I want to come from the acceptability perspective of technology and how COVID has created that acceptability. The technology has been there. I mean, like Zoom has been around for a while. I mean, I didn't know about Zoom till I had to know about Zoom, okay? And it is just that we have realized that it works. We have realized that we can use it in so many other ways. Let me give you a couple of examples. My immediate family, myself, my siblings and spouses and our children, we are slightly spaced out around the world, okay? All of a sudden, we realized that we can do Zoom parties. So ever since, we've been having birthday parties, and it's been fantastic, okay? We even went further. I have a nephew in Madagascar. He had a baby, he and his wife. My family head, who's my older brother, lives in Spintex. My other brother, who is a bishop, lighthouse bishop in Kumasi, we had a naming ceremony on Zoom, okay? For some reason, I don't know whether it's to do with the fact that I'm the only technology person in the family. The lucky baby was named after me. So I mean, this was acceptable. We can't say that the child hasn't been named. He has been. We've named it, head of family named it. He was blessed by my brother. Perfect. Okay? So that realization that we can do these things easily. Hitherto, we might have waited for them to come to Ghana on a holiday, and then we'll do the naming ceremony. That could have been the solution. The other experiences I also want to talk about is the fact that, yes, within our everyday working life, you are going to a meeting. We are able to do 1 or 2 meetings a day because you have to travel. You talk to a client, they say, come, okay? But all of a sudden, it's been acceptable that you can have a serious meeting where, contractual issues are discussed on Zoom, okay? Even our trainings, we were doing physical training, and then 30th March came, we were locked down. At first, companies were very reluctant. So we embarked on doing free training on Zoom, webinars, just to get people to realize that it works, okay? It works. Everything is fine, okay? Coming to one of my most serious problems, the potential of reputational damage for individuals like me. I was doing a workshop for youth in my church, and I was Zoom bombed. Seriously, a serious pedophilic Zoom bomb. Now, for the people who were watching me, do they know about Zoom bomb? Are they thinking that, oh, this is a video from CK's laptop? Or, what's up, CK? Hey. Or, what's up, CK? Hey, what's up? So, I mean, that risk, and because of COVID, I haven't engaged a lot of these youth, so I don't know what they are still thinking. But that perspective is serious. So from what Jackie said about awareness, it is so critical that this is the time, because of the speed of how we are jumping on all these things. Awareness programs are so critical, are very, very, very critical for people to understand what exactly these things mean, what exactly is possible, what exactly I can do to prevent myself from falling into some of these problems. And I think from my experiences and from experiences of some of my clients from this perspective, these are a few of my thoughts.
Yes, a very interesting one. Zoom bombed. This morning I was reading some article, and it's these guys in the US, they were simulating the elections, and so somebody was doing Biden, another one was doing Trump, and so forth. And one of them actually forgot that he had his camera on and was doing some stuff that he shouldn't have been doing, and now he's been suspended. So clearly there are issues to do with that. But we'll come to Richard, Director General, National Information Technology Agency, or an authority. Agency. It will become an authority soon. Richard, government has been going on, like the Vice President has been leading the paperless agenda, with the digitization agenda, so national ID and so many things. Suddenly you look at it and you are asking yourself, were we on a path, the right path before? Because maybe people probably might have been saying that, what's all this fascination with the paperless and all these technology things? Was it a blessing that we started those things early? How did COVID impact you as a DG? How did NITA fare? And what exactly were some of the challenges you had?
Thank you, Carl.
The third thing that I'd like to say would be the Ghana portal, which we have just currently launched and is being piloted by GRA and most of these institutions. And that was basically government's way of interfacing with citizens to say that every time you want to discover a government service, this is the portal that you need to go to. You can consume the service by paying with myriads of payment options, particularly using your mobile money and the like, and consume the service, and that has also worked very well. So I think COVID has been an opportunity. I personally don't foresee us going back to the way we used to do things. We need to embrace it. We need to learn the risks associated with this new normal and really take advantage of it. So that's what I would like to say for now. Thank you.
Wow, so we're not going to go back to the days past with its digital going forward. So let me come to you, Jackie. I just want to look at something from resilience, business resilience. Because clearly, if businesses were not resilient, a lot of them would have ground to a halt. And maybe some were putting in place, IT people were forced, let's get certain things done. What are the strategies that businesses would have to employ to make sure that we are resilient, first in making sure constantly we are available, but also we're able to brave the security challenges of this time?
Thank you, Carl. I think cyber resilience is so important. Resilience in itself would determine whether you're going to... Hello? Yeah. So resilience in itself would determine whether you're going to come out of this alive or not. I think for us, we had a very mature business continuity processes in place. We conduct simulations quite frequently as well. This was a lifesaver for us, and I think businesses need to take business continuity very seriously. I remember when we started this, early in my career, when I started the Business Continuity Direct talk, it was very derided because people didn't think, I mean, where are you coming from? What are you talking about? These things will never really happen. We don't foresee this happening then. And you can have a good business continuity plan in place for a long time and nothing really happens for you to take it in there or invoke it. So I think there's a bit of skepticism around it as well, but it's ever so important. I'm still yet to hear of any business continuity plan that covered pandemics. So even though we had business continuity plans in place, we were looking at the traditional fire, earthquakes, floods, uprisings and things like that. Oh, elections are coming, let's put some contingency plans in place. I don't think anybody, well, I'm yet to hear of anybody who had catered for the pandemic. But yet again, here we are. So I think it's ever so important to make sure the scenarios in terms of resilience or business continuity are very broad, covering all your bases. Simulations are very, very important to ensure that you can recover in the shortest possible time and recover your crown jewels as well. I think you need to put a prioritization scale in place, make sure that your crown jewels are protected, and many times we just look at our assets and our services, we forget about the people. I think it's so important to categorize sort of your high-risk people, the C-suites, their PAs, the upper management. Make sure that you have a particular program that is looking at them, their cyber health online, their exposure online, their footprint online, how safe they are from a cyber perspective as well. And I think that is ever so important. It needs to be part of your contingency plan as well. For simulations, it's ever so important. It's you can't have a business continuity plan with a system that you haven't tested. You have a perfect plan, but then when the rubber hits the road, are you going to be able to recover properly? Do you know what to do? Do you know where to do? A CSERT, computer security incident, a response team is very key as well. Make sure that you have one of those in place. Imagine you're in the middle of the pandemic trying to get your head around everything and then you're hit with a cyber attack as well. as a company, what would you do? You have to have a set ready to be able to respond properly. They should be properly trained. They should know their duties. They should know what to do. You should have a communication side of that as well. I think most of the time we focus on the technical, see how we're going to recover, but have a good communication plan as well. Who is communicating about the breach? Who is telling the executive committee what to say? Who is telling corporate services what to say about the breach? And things like that. So I think it's important that your resilience is A1. The resilience is your bedrock. That's how you come back. That's how you recover. Make sure that you have the proper strategies in place to be able to recover no matter what hits you. Pandemic, yes, we're working from home. As the gentleman said, it works. It works now. Working from home works. Are we going to go back? Probably not. Or probably we're going to now adopt a hybrid of working from home and in the office. Bearing in mind that social distancing is still a thing and we still have to adhere to it as well. So I think we can't take resilience for granted. I think this should be a lesson to all of us. Cover our bases, be broader in our perspective when we are looking at business continuity, build resilience in our day-to-day processes as well, so that we are able to come back from anything that arises, or our contingency plans are airtight enough for us to recover.
Thank you very much. So let me come to you, Ken. From where you sit, the telecom chamber, you have a big role to play with NCA, there's GIFEC, for instance. The disruption has been everywhere. What kind of strategies or what exactly are you doing to help the educational sector? Because that's one of the places where we see a lot of challenge. First, on getting them to get up to speed, just like industry or the other industry, but also on the awareness section, what kind of collaboration, what educational plans do you have to put in place just to be able to build that, security consciousness in that area as well?
Thank you very much, Carl. So I think as we're talking as if all of us have been resilient and all of us are still alive. There are a lot of institutions that have gone under. It's one of the things that we need to realize. And one of the things that COVID has taught us is that it's not more about the plan, but more of a strategy. That resilience is built within the institutions so that we are malleable and agile enough to be able to respond. And it's also brought into focus the need for leadership to take this issue of cyber resilience very critically. So it's no more the IT people's thing. It is about the sustainability of the organization. One of the things that COVID has exposed is that when it comes to our educational system, we really were not ready. And it's not just, Ghana, it's a worst case, but it's a global thing. You found out that all educational businesses have gone along, but ask me, which country do you still have the educational system running as ought to be? It's not. So, and our situation was even worse. Our teachers who had to teach did not even have the devices, neither did they even know about how to use the devices. So the time has come for us to have a complete shift, a complete change of mind to say that going forward, education cannot be like the way it's been in the past. And there's so much we have to do, but there's so little time to be able to do that. So my son who lives in Accra would have access to all the digital tools. But my nephew who lives in Chame, who lives in some of these areas that even the network itself has not gotten there, how are we dealing with that? So we need, and that's why the collaboration between the private sector and the public sector and the third sector has to happen. GIFEC needs to completely change the way it looks at the role it plays in terms of being able to provide access. Because the challenge currently is that if the last child in Ghana cannot have access to telecommunication service, how is he going to learn? How is he going to be able to compete? So it's time that government needs to look at the issues of access, not maybe even setting up the networks, but guaranteeing that all educational institutions that are in the rural areas would have certain demand of data so that it would be able to work with the private sector to move telecommunication into those areas. How we now need to start teaching our children the same way we tell that don't talk to a stranger. Physically within the space, we need to start teaching them the whole cyber hygiene within the space we are. Because as a people, we are too welcoming. You know, everybody would want to welcome, and we're taking the same attitudes into the cyberspace. Because it's surprising that you find out that people will tell you that somebody called me on the phone and was able to talk me to give them my PIN. You know, but that happens. And it happens to not only people who are not even educated. People who are really educated all fall victim to this. So what are we doing in terms of teaching our kids? Because the same thing that you have the criminals yard in the fiscal world are learning faster and are coming into this space. So what are we teaching them so that they would be able to take advantages of the opportunities that digital transformation is bringing, but also know that the risk also exists? Because what has happened immediately now is that the world has been flattened. So the child that lives, that is in China somewhere, is competing with the child in Musuli, in Accra now. So what opportunities are we giving them so that they also can rise up? Fortunately for us, the flip is also that we can now start bridging that gap that exists between us and the developed world, taking advantage of these things that have happened. Fortunately, also in Ghana, there's a lot of examples. If you look into the fintech space, there's so much well that we have done. And it's happened because of collaboration between private sector, public sector, and the third sector. But a lot more has to be done, especially between our regulators within this space. So the Ministry of Communication, NCA, GIFEC, all of us working together to make sure that we can bridge this challenge that we have within our digital space. And the teachers also have to come along because they also need to acquire new skills. And we also need to realize the fact that in the past, it was a lot more of the older folks had all the skills. Currently, it's not like that. You know, the young people also have the skills. So how do we change that dynamic such that we'll be able to learn from each other and still be able to provide ourselves the skills that we require to be able to go? But it is very, very fundamental that we ensure that till the very last mile, we are able to ensure that there's technology there, the technology is available, it is secure, it is stable. And all of that will also be provided when other resources are available. The challenges with power, the challenges with roads, the challenges with fuel, all of these issues we need to start thinking about. And the time has also come for the structure of even the way we manage the whole communication area has to change. Because what would happen if we currently have all the policies in place to make sure that 5G comes, IoT is there, AI comes, but our educational policy is such that you can't learn in a particular way, you can't take exams in a particular way. I remember just the Saturday, my wife had to write an exam, one of these banking exams. And they're doing it digitally, but there is a supervisor who sits with you to be able to write the exam. You know, and it's not a human supervisor, but it's an AI, you know, so that you are able to have multiple people do this. How are we preparing to be able to do this? So that we don't have the situation where we have only a few good teachers in Accra, in the big cities, but we are able to replicate that, all of these good teachers, and make them available to everybody everywhere, so that the children in the places that are also not developed also can get advantage of that. With all of these are opportunities, but there are also risks that are with them. So that we ensure that this Zoom bombing and things do not happen. We ensure that people are not exploited. We ensure that people are able to take advantage of these opportunities, and we are all able to develop together and be able to reach where we all have to reach, not just because I didn't get access to it, I didn't get a device, but we all are able to do it, and we're all being empowered to do it. And if I don't do it, it's because I chose not to do it.
That certainly was a lot of stuff to talk about, but clearly it tells you that, you know, COVID has opened the door for a lot of changes to take place. Now, let me come to you, CK. I'm interested in finding out what has been the evolution, or what are some of the evolving trends when it comes to cybersecurity, you know, the attack vectors and stuff like that. I mean, but maybe you look at the financial sector, for instance. We can use that as a case in point. And then afterwards, we'll go to Victor, who will talk to us about, and we'll look at risk. You know, the concept of risk management. How do we move it from just the organization to maybe buttress the point Ken made, where it becomes a concept that we all learn, so you are demystifying it, not technical anymore, but it's something that is a day-to-day type of thing. We would all look at it. And then after you're done, my good friend, the regulator, I'm interested in finding out from Richard how the government sector, has embraced technology, and we have a lot of old people in government. Nobody had that, but how are we getting those changes and getting them to actually become, completely paperless and then security conscious as well. So maybe CK, Victor, and Richard.
Thank you, Carl. Since COVID is more of a human-based uncertainty issue, social engineering has been very, very predominant because of people not comfortable and not sure, and there's been massive changes all around. People have ridden on that, taken advantage, and tried all manner of scams and things. I think Ken alluded to that, of the increase in mobile phone, Momo scams and things like that. So again, it comes back to the awareness to make people switched on about these things, okay? One of the vectors is phishing, okay? So there are all sorts of kinds of emails and messages, and I mean, from my perspective, it really still confuses me how people, maybe I'm being a bit patronizing here, but how people still see these messages on their phone and they still click. I mean, I can't put my head around it. But yes, there are people, people who suffer from these kind of attacks. But we really need to make people understand that don't click on anything. Simple. Just don't click. But COVID has made people click more. And it's kind of very scary. So, I mean, we cannot overemphasize the importance of awareness enough. It's just not possible. The need for that is great. Now, the other major problem is change management, okay? Because of the confusion, because of the speed in which all of a sudden things had become, people were working from home, people were moving this. There were so many changes to infrastructure and things. The change management process seems to have been thrown out of the window. That is one. Now the biggest fear around that is that, yes, I agree that we are not going to go back to the old normal. We have a new normal. And the new normal might be institutionalizing some of those changes. But not all those changes. But the massive problem is that do we have all those changes documented? Do we have them so that we can, change them back when we are rolling back to a certain hybrid environment that we all agree we will be moving back to? Okay, so those are the massive cybersecurity related issues that we need to look at. I didn't mention about malware, about ransomware. Now, malware has become very terrifying from the ransomware perspective. Very, very terrifying. I mean, previously, if you got a virus, it's just an infection. Years back, viruses with an actual negative payload was very minimal. But now, nearly every single virus has a massive payload, ransomware. And that hits you, there's nothing you can do. All your files have been encrypted, okay? So these things are affecting organizations, even organizations with proper structured environment. And when I say a structured environment, an organization that has adopted a security standard. Okay, so they have all their environments well structured. Even them, they are being hit with all these, So I come back to the awareness as the key mechanism to defend ourselves against the nature of attacks and growing weaknesses within our system.
Thank you, Carl. In terms of risk and the strategies organizations and individuals can adopt, I would like to first go to my technical notes and then relate to how we can practicalize this. So when we talk about risk is simply the probability that a vulnerability can be exploited. And not every vulnerability or loophole in a system can be taken advantage of. But there are clearly certain things that someone can put their hand on and then compromise your system. And these are areas that organizations should key in and look at what can be exploited. When you talk about mitigation strategies or risk prevention, we know from cybersecurity, the first method or strategy is mitigation, where you actively put a control in place to mitigate or take care of the risk. Now, what I've come to realize is that we must understand that devices do not fix themselves. Organizations are in a hurry to buy firewalls, intrusion prevention systems, SIM devices, anything that they feel when they put at the gateway, the organization will be safe. But what you must also understand is that it's individuals that control those systems or must configure those systems. If you just get a bunch of devices and put in your infrastructure and think you are safe, it's a deception. Organizations should invest in their individuals, not just bring in on consultants, but invest in the people on the ground. And they should also, as much as they are willing to pay so much for devices, also channel those resources into building their own talent. Another thing or another mitigation strategy is avoidance, where the risk or the service that is causing the risk is avoided totally altogether. That's another thing. If you have maybe a service that is not so critical and it's posing a problem in your organization, it's better you just do away with that service. Then the third method, which is risk acceptance, where if you look at the cost-benefit analysis and you realize that if I'm compromised, I won't lose much, then you just know of the risk and then you accept the risk. But in our world today, it's very difficult to accept a risk if you don't have what is known as residual risk. That's the bare minimum you must accept. So you must work towards mitigation, reducing the risk before thinking about accepting what is left. And then the fourth method is risk transfer, where you purchase insurance for the risk, where you say, okay, I'm not going to do anything about this risk, but I'm going to buy cyber insurance so that if the system is compromised, the insurance company will pay for it. And I don't know much about our cyber insurance in our country. We have all sorts of insurance policies, but if maybe the insurance companies could also come up with cyber insurance for businesses, then it could help. But I always say that in cybersecurity itself, it's like insurance. Companies are not willing to mostly do anything about it until something happens. So organizations are laid back. They want to be breached. They want to be hacked before they run around looking for someone to come and fix it. But by that time, mostly it's too late. You've lost the reputation in the eyes of the public, and so much damage has been done. So I would say that
two key factors are investing in your own people, like CK Bruce talked about training, empowering the people, and not just bringing on the devices, but investing in your people and then also following the best practices. Thank you.
Richard.
Yeah. So, Carl, my question was on training and the public sector folks. So, I think it's been said, change management is a critical component that we need to bring down for people to understand that change is necessary, change is needed. It will happen as we go through whatever transformation that we must go through. I mentioned in my earlier submission that though the government had put together a solution for public sector workers, currently as we speak, I think there are over 700 or so MDAs, MMDAs, agencies. We've only been able to onboard about 330 odd because we've reached out to the Public Services Commission, we've reached out to the Office of the Head of Civil Service, SIGA is being on, we've been trumpeting it. My Honorable Minister puts this out every day at Cabinet, but there's reluctance for agencies to come on board and use this smart workplace, which is a phenomenal product developed by a Ghanaian, right? So we must support it. If it doesn't work, I'll be the first to tell you it doesn't work. I do not mince words. But this works, but the agencies are not coming on board. Why is that so? Because for parochial interest, people prefer to use Google, whatever, and pay 300 and go and tell their bosses it's 3,000, instead of coming to get a government-approved system that works, and government can also rationalize licenses that it spends money on. So these are some of the issues. So the change management aspect of it is key. And again, I'll use this forum, I'll use this platform to say that all agencies who are not on board, please contact us. The information is on our website. We will come and onboard you so that you can take advantage of this fantastic solution. So that is first. The second is capacity building, and I think we've all touched on it. Training is important. Building internal capacity is important, right? Technology is not about the devices, as it's been said. It's also about the people, right? Often at times, most breaches are actually caused by internal people. You have physical, you have logical security, and it is our own people who often at times let the door open for the bad guys to come in. So we continue to train them. At NITA, what we are trying to do is organize a regular session with the heads of ICT of these agencies, and we say that, look, come together, let us collaborate. One thing I found in Ghana is that we don't do collaboration well, but this is what has helped the other developed countries. I remember when I worked in the States, every situation I was faced, there was somebody who had gone through that problem and had a solution, and they are willing to share it. This notion of, I have a problem, I'll sit on it, I won't share it, so that somebody can assist you, is wrong, and we need to change. And I think it starts with our education. Everybody wants to be first, so we won't share any information with anybody. Let us disabuse our minds of that today, right? Collaboration is the way forward. So if I know you don't know, I'm willing to share with you. The more I share with you, the more I deepen my knowledge, the more you know, to be able to teach somebody else. So we continue to say to the heads of IT, let's come together, let us run programs that would assist you. If you have a peculiar problem in your environment, come, share it with us. Let us bring the people, the resources to try and help. If we don't do that, we'll find the public service will be the same, the way we've always known it. So for me, that is the challenge that I face with, and that is what I'm trying to change.
Well, you know, that's a very interesting point. Thank you, Richard. You know, there's a point you made about collaboration, and I'm going to put it to Jackie. And even though there's nobody here from the financial sector, one of the things we know is that we've had many breaches but it is not reported. Everybody kind of keeps quiet and, well, I'm breached, and you keep it to yourself. And we've had, this year there have been several breaches. If you sit and you observe certain trends, you know that there's a breach taking place. And some of the actors we've dealt with this year are nation states. But how come you and I do not know? So first, we want to talk about the collaboration. What is the security risk or what is preventing us from sharing this type of information just so that we can proactively get ourselves prepared, deal with these security incidents? That's something that I have, based on what Richard said, it just came to mind, and I thought that I'd like you to answer that.
Thank you, Carl. I think Richard gave you the answer. I think for us, it's sort of a foundational thing. Everybody is trying to be first, not trying to show their, wash their dirty linen in public, so to speak. However, there's a lot to be said for collaboration. If there's one thing I've learned from the years in this business, it's you don't know everything. You might be sitting there thinking you do. However, a situation will arise where even if you think you've dealt with it well, there's somebody who has dealt with it better than you did. So it's always a good thing to collaborate with people, get ideas. I mean, get on forums where, how has this been done? How has this, how did this work out for you? And get more ideas to be able to get out better from any situation which you find yourself in. For example, as we all know, we are celebrating the Global Cybersecurity Awareness Month. In our organization, we do month-long celebrations, and we do a lot of trainings and stuff. But for this year, we as a team decided, listen, let's collaborate with outsiders. I mean, the company has been subjected to us giving talks and giving our perspectives for years. Why not get other people from outside on board to be able to talk to the company, to be able to talk to the staff? They'll bring on different perspectives, different experiences that we haven't been through, that will help us and further our course. And it's all towards the same cause anyway. To be honest with you, Carl, I think collaboration is not something we are pushing for, because it's foundational, like Richard said. If we could come together, public sector, private sector, third sector, share experiences, I think there are some things that other companies are going through that will be able to offer a hand. You might have a serious DBA here, say, listen, I'll send this guy to you, he would help you. You might have somebody who is A1 in awareness, very catchy ideas. You say, I'll send this person to you, we can help you. And I mean, if we collaborate more, I think we would build a more resilient, a stronger, a wiser sector to be able to move it forward, not only privately, but nationally as well.
Thank you, Jackie. Now, let me come to you, Victor. Just a very interesting question. The increasing use of self-service, because that's what this whole world is becoming, digital transformation. So I don't remember the last time I went to a banking hall to do anything, self-service. But clearly it has risk, well, and you've heard interesting stories on these things. I know that the educational system, a lot has to be done. I think Ken talked about it. And from the solution provider's perspective, what are some of the measures you can put in place just so that it makes it a little more intuitive for the end user who is not very tech savvy to stay safe?
Thank you very much for the question. What the solution provider can do, aid the end user with regards to self-service to be more secure. Let me just take an example like web browsing. We know there are phishing attacks, there are a lot of clickjacks here and there. And what solution providers do is sometimes, in example of web browsing, they
they provide plugins in your browsers, and these plugins take care of basic security. So if you have children at home and they try to access a website that is rated above 18 because maybe there's a plugin in the browser, it doesn't allow them to open that particular site. And there are a number of tools, I would say, on the market that handle some of these things. So it's about knowing about them and leveraging them. If you are in an organization where you know that your most or some, okay, let me say some of your users are stubborn. No matter the training you give them, they would try and go out and maybe reach Facebook or reach a prohibited site. There are tools and solutions you can put in place at the gateway that can prevent people from going to certain sites. So from the solution provider's perspective, I would say that the devices or the tools are out there, but the end user must adopt or know about these and then adopt it. Because if you come to a consultant and you say that, oh, I want this and this and that, as much as you may want ABC, he's also looking at how much you are willing to invest or your budget with regards to what you want. And mostly because organizations are always trying to cut cost, sometimes they cut cost at the expense of, I'll say, basic security. So it's a two-way affair. You are as secure as you are willing to pay for. That's what I'll say.
Okay, thank you very much. CK, maybe let me ask you this question. You know, there's increasing use of cloud, and the issue to the cloud, your perspective, you know, sometimes because you talk to people and we all have a certain mindset about the cloud. Is it a good area for people to go into? What are the risks to do with cloud adoption? And, you know, maybe you should assure us that cloud is good.
Thank you, Carl. I think that's a very simple statement. Cloud is the future. There's no other way. Okay? Again, I see it as a realization issue from the doubter's perspective that, my data is going to be seen by somebody else has access. I can understand that apprehension, because most of those people don't know how a cloud data center is set up. Okay? And the realization that if you go there, you can't do anything, you can't find anything. I mean, there are hundreds of servers within the data center. Your data is not even situated on one server, it is stripped across a number of servers. The security, the cyber security solutions at that server, nobody, not even Ghana, can afford it. Okay? So it is a highly secure place. Now, from an attacker perspective, from somebody who's trying to get to your data, to breach your data, obviously I would want to use the easiest path to your data. And the easiest path to your data is through you. Through your laptop, which perhaps you have saved the password and the credentials in your browser. So all I need actually is your laptop, and click on the right place and I have your data. So why would I go to, at the moment Microsoft has a new data center in South Africa. So that's the closest major. Why would I go to South Africa to try and get access to your data when I can just come to your office, see you, social engineer you, and get access to your laptop and get your data? If we also look at the agility perspective, i.e., as an organization, you want to be quick and fast in responding to any changes. And to be honest, COVID has brought that ability or the essential nature of agility out. Okay, so for instance, in my company, everything we have is on the cloud. So we moving to working at home was a snap of a finger. Nothing. I mean, just work at home. All the data, everything you can get at. You don't need to be in the office. We don't have a server. Okay, we had some clients doing a due diligence on us, and to be honest, my responses were a little bit too easy from me. You know, I was thinking, hey, what would the company think? Because everything we will say yes. I mean, there's nothing. Do you have anybody checking on your data center? Well, no. It's in the cloud. You see, so it makes things easy. The headache, the massive headache of putting together a cybersecurity strategy is removed. All you need, and I'm sorry to come back to that word again, is proper awareness from your people, your internal people, on the fact that the only avenue to your data is through you. And I think I will end there.
The only avenue to your data is through you. I'll take two questions. I have two questions. Ken, the current laws we have, we're doing everything E. Are the laws abreast with the new paradigm?
Well, thank you very much. As was mentioned, all of us, when we're doing our business continuity, nobody looked at the pandemic. You know what I mean? So immediately, if you are sitting and you think that your laws are up to date, you're dated yourself. And our situation is even worse. You know, some of the things have been a bit slow. But the good thing is that if you take the Ministry of Communication, it has started to look again at our ICT policy again, and is doing a holistic look at it. You know, so that is a good start. You know, and it's important that at this stage, all of us start looking at everything we do, and it has to be where the world has gotten to now. All the verticals, it's not only a Ministry of Communication thing anymore. All the other industries need to start looking at it. Education, agri, health, sports, all of that. We need to start looking at it and see, are we ready for the future? Because the future, as is said, is the crowd. The future, as is said, is digital transformation. 5G is going to come. IoT is now it's not IoT anymore, it's IoE. It's Internet of Everything. Everything is going to be connected. So how are we thinking and failing fast forward, such that we are ready for the things that are going to be thrown at us? So it's important that we are very, very open. And this whole conversation also about collaboration is very critical, even in terms of the formulation of our laws and our policies and our regulation. The time where it is that it's the public sector that sets, to think about what the laws and things are far gone. And the times when those in the private sector think they will sit and only wait for the public sector to do the thinking, it's gone. The third sector, we need to be pulling along, especially academia, to bring them onto the table at the point where we are crafting these laws, crafting these regulations, and then also putting systems in place so that a lot of the organizations will self-regulate. Because by the time you would find you do this regulation that is historic, the damage would have been done. So it is time that we all sit together and see how we can craft it. Fortunately, we're beginning to see a lot of that happen. If you look into the mobile money space, one of the things that has really moved Ghana, and we have virtually now almost like number 2 in Africa, is because of the fact that everybody else sits at the table to really discuss it. And a critical part of the people who also should be at the table is the consumers. It's really important that at this stage we bring them also in there. And fortunately for us, because of digital transformation, it is possible for all of us to actually sit at the table. I keep on saying to my friends in government that there's a time going to come, Parliament is going to be obsolete. Because we will not need to select 275 people to go and think for us. Because all of us will be able to participate in the decisions that affect us because of the tools that are available. So how do we also ensure that we are bringing the users, we're bringing the consumers also in there to look at our laws? So yes, definitely our laws are not enough. But the good thing is that the thinking that is going in there, pushing the digital agenda and all of that, is making us look at a revision of our laws. But I still see that we're focused, so Ministry of Communications is doing a good job. My worry is that whether the other sectors are also thinking in that particular manner. Because very soon, a doctor will be able to sit in Accra and do surgery in Chame. But if you are not too careful, the policies, even maybe our educational system would make it in such a way that that will not be allowed. So how do we bring everybody all in there so that we all are thinking together? And conversations like this are really, really very important. Unfortunately for us, because of COVID, because of Zoom, because of Blue Jeans, and all of that, we can do that. My only worry is that we are still using other people's tools to do all of this. The question I was asking my sister is that, so is our government also using Zoom? Are we using these, are we using Teams, which belongs to other people? You remember that Angela Merkel, before she even became what she was, somebody else somewhere knew what it is that she was thinking. So I look at all of that and say, how are we thinking about our own national security? And that's why, for me, the smart place where has been developed by us. So that, as they say, if the vulture is even going to eat you, if it's your own vulture, let it, So let's see how we can use our own things and stop depending overly on other people's things. Help our people to develop their things, and so that we can keep all of these things in here. It's really, really important that these discussions should go on. At least one of the things that I'm beginning to see is that now I don't see ministers with Gmail on their complimentary cards again. So at least we can see that there's some progress being made in that direction. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's a very good one. And I like the added, if a vulture is going to eat you, let it be their own vulture. I'll keep that in mind. Richard, I would like to ask you the last question. Skill set. Skill set. From the government perspective, your role, you actually do practically national information technology. What needs to be done to get you the right skill set, the right awareness? So here I'm looking at maybe collaboration with tertiary institutions, what you need to put in place, even get the commensurate remuneration and everything. You came from a private sector, so you are doing national service. But not everybody wants to do national service. So, I want your thoughts on that, after which I'll go to the audience, and please get some interesting questions for them. Richard.
Thank you. Skill set is a problem within the public sector. So I've had, for me, I came to the role with a very open mind and trying to change things. So I've had conversations with the public sector, Public Services Commission, PSC, and the Office of the Head of Civil Service. And I'm saying that the notion of an IT class within the public service should be brought back. I think that discussion had been had in the past, but it didn't go anywhere. Look, everywhere else, there are private sector workers gravitating back to public sector. It's in the UK, it's in Korea, it's in many, many places. Now, how do we attract the best skilled people into government or public services? We cannot. Our remuneration is woefully inadequate, right? So I cannot go and get someone who has spent their own money to train themselves to bring them to earn pittance. It just doesn't work. So luckily for me, they are hearing that discussion. And it is a discussion that we go, because that will be tied to competency matrix and even moving staff around different agencies as well, right? Someone would have spent all their entire career in one agency, and all they know is just that system at that particular agency. If you move them, after a while, you move them to another ministry or agency, they learn something else. It inures to their own benefit and their skill set, right? So this is what we are trying to do. And we cannot stress that enough. If we don't train them, public sector would always be lagging, right? As you said, some of us, is God and country. We want to do our best because we believe in technology. We believe in the fintech industry. We want to put our arms around them, make sure that we develop things. I mean, luckily for us, COVID is also helping because we manufactured most of the PPEs here, all right? So we must think about that and stop depending on everybody else for our survival. So skill set is important. Remuneration. We have to also understand, and that's the same discussion, you cannot put the IT class in the same vein as the administrative or the management class. It has to be different, right? So that we can attract the right people. So these are some of the things that we are talking about. We are collaborating with them. I want to set up a team, and I have a team of IT people within the public sector so that I can try and get close to them and understand what some of their pain points are so that we can, you cannot be a regulator and just be taking a stick and bashing people's head, right? You've got to impact them and impart knowledge. And that is what we are also trying to do at NITA. So I will end here for now.
Wow, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can give them a round of applause before we come over to you. So now we have some questions. You raise your hand, you tell us where you're coming from, and then you can ask your question.
Hi, thank you so much for a wonderful session. My name is Anaji Mepempe, we met already. Yes. But my question really has to do with adapting our own technology.
Adapting our own technology.
Yes. Like you just said, we should depend on ourselves more. What is NITA doing to scale in-country built technologies, local solutions like Soreba, which was way there before COVID happened, had the capacity to do all check-ins for all the churches, attendance monitoring, had won awards across many places. What are some of the things that government would have done for the likes of Soreba to scale technology for scenarios like this?
Thank you. It's a good question. I mentioned a product called Ghana.gov, which is the government portal for discovering government service, consuming it, and paying for it. This, I'm proud to say, was developed by Ghanaians. 3 elsewhere competing companies came together, Haptel, ExpressPay, and IT Consortium. They've done a fantastic job, and I believe that this product can even be exported, right? So that is the way we are looking at things. And that is where I'm trying to take the organization back to. And in so doing, we want to put our arms around the affected community and get solutions. So I'll be doing a lot of interactions with them. I already do, so that we can look at some of the products that they are developing and how government can use that, right? And, you know, if it works across both public sector and private sector. It is not, for me, I'm not in a rush to say, let us, just because we are Ghanaian, we want to build Ghanaian, let's just put products out. Let us put quality products out, right? And government must also deliberately, and we talked about it, it's in education. Government must deliberately have a policy, right? To, just like India did some time ago, to say that, look, we're going to focus on technology. And that is what India did. Now that is why they don't export cocoa. There's technology, right? So it's a deliberate effort. Our boys who are doing Sakawa and all these things, can we not put them in an environment where we can retool them, retrain them to do something better? You know, I always want to tell every young person I come across with, listen, pick some technology, learn how to code. In the US, when I was in college, I was working, right? I was working and making some money. And it's important that we do that. You know, we can create our own product. Let's create quality product. That is what I want to put out to any budding entrepreneur here or a techpreneur here. Let us put out quality products. That is the solution for adoption. Quality products. Yeah? So.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Yes, CK. Okay.
Thank you for that question. I think we need more than policy. I think we need legislation to really support this. Okay, in other countries it exists. I don't want to mention names of countries, but there are countries close by where I can't go and work there, but they can come here and work. And that imbalance is creating non-opportunities for our own people who are living in their country. We need to support this with proper legislation and to ensure quality, proper standards. There are standards, ISO standards for everything that that can be done. Adopt those standards so that whatever is being produced is of quality. Ken, you spoke about a Ghanaian company not having a video conferencing solution. It's true. In Kenya, there's a company that has developed it. There's a Kenyan company that has their own, a Kenyan developed video conferencing package, and it's working. And I think, I'm not too sure about this fact, that the Kenyan government has adopted it. We can do it. There's nothing in terms of the capability and the know-how. We have it. There's no question, there's no doubt about that. We have it. It is the fact that the environment is tough, it's difficult to be able to get your solution accepted and used. We've been talking about this for a long time, and anytime we have these opportunities, big people in government, yes, we'll do it, and then as soon as they go back to the office, they will go and buy it from the US. Okay, so I recognize the existence of the policy, but it is not strong enough.
Thank you very much. We need support. Any other question? Adute, yes.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So my name is Adute from ADB. I'm speaking from a customer point of view. Recently, we heard about the Momo fraud issue that happened in a certain country that affected about 2 telcos and a fintech. I'm not too sure because there's a regulator on the panel. There is a telco person represented there, and as well as the one in charge of the chamber. I'm not too sure whether we have heard about it, and in the case of Ghana, what are we doing to ensure that a similar thing doesn't happen in the country?
Thank you very much. So, Ken.
Thank you very much. So, if you look at the Ugandan example again, from the initial information we have, it's an internal person. So it's important to realize that it was not a hack. So it was fraud that was perpetuated by somebody who had privileged access. But there are a lot of learnings that we're taking, and so even the head of the fintech office, the Innovation and Fintech office in Bank of Ghana, had a conversation around that. So we're looking at learnings from that. But the fortunate thing about how we work, the structures that we have, the systems that we have, is that we're slightly different from what operates in other mobile money markets. Our mobile money market is very bank-based. Every electron e-money that you have is backed by CD in a bank somewhere. Another thing we also do is that, so you find out all the challenges we've had in the mobile money space has been a lot more fraud than by, hacks that come in. So technically, we seem to be sound. Our challenge is the social engineering that happened from that. But we're still not complacent. Because, as Chenu Achebe would say, as the hunter learns to shoot without missing, the birds learn to fly without perching. So constantly, we also need to ensure that we are in the front of the game. Then also added to that is the way our systems work. The amount of money you can move is limited. The amount of money you can receive into your wallet, there are all limits that are attached to it. So before we would have that kind of what happened in Uganda happened to us, it will really be difficult. It would be picked up as it starts to happen. But we are not oblivious of the fact that we are within a global market space, and we also are pushing beyond just doing mobile money in Ghana. We're pushing that we should be able to run mobile money across, so that when I move from Ghana to Togo, I should be able to run that. So if all of that is going to happen, we need to start having conversations about risk, having conversations about cyber security, having conversations about data protection and all of that. So we are taking a lot of learning from that. But the problem we have in here in Ghana is the issue of social engineering. It's the inherent risk, greed also that some of us are in. You know that you have not participated in any promotion. Somebody calls you and says you want something somewhere, and then you are beginning to go at it. The fact that we are also open to be able to tell people, our PIN numbers. The fact that we're also afraid of the malams and all. So if he calls you and tells you that somebody has brought your name to him and all of that, so there's several things that are happening. And so the focus is awareness. We need to really, really create the awareness. We need to do a lot of education. And that's one of the things that we're doing as we work on the defense side and ensure that intrusion-wise we are protected. We need to also make sure that the consumer, the user, is also very aware and understands the fact that till you give your mobile money, your mobile ID to anybody, nobody can take it. Because you ask the question, if I really am such smart and we hold the money with us, why wouldn't we go and take the money at where all of it is? But we have to come to you and ask for your permission to be able to do that. So we need to learn out of that, and we would definitely take all examples that come out of the places to ensure that we build that resilience. But it starts with making sure that all of us are aware and we know what it is that we are holding so that we can protect ourselves a lot more.
Thank you very much. Jackie, yes.
Mr. Ashigbe, if I could hug you, I will. You have said everything that I wanted to say. You've hit the nail on the head. But I'll just add this. As you're well aware, it was a fraud perpetrated in a third party. The inclusion of security clauses or annexures in contracts for third parties cannot be overemphasized. It is very crucial that in every contract you're signing, there are some security clauses to protect yourself. I was just speaking about this a couple of days in the office, and you notice how MTN's name is the first that comes. You don't hear anything about the Pegasus aggregator. It's MTN, it's Airtel, and then it's Stanbic. So the reputational damage is on us. It's our name that is going around. So you need to make sure that you are mitigating the risk in terms of third party. And the third party space is not very easy to govern. In terms of cybersecurity. There's a lot of exposure there, which you need to take your time and make sure you've got the proper structures in place to be able to mitigate against. So I can't overemphasize the inclusion of security annexures and clauses in all these contracts that you sign with your third parties. If you have the resources to do it, do compliance checks. It's very important. Make sure that they're adhering to whatever baseline you have put in for them, and they are not falling foul of that. And obviously, include them in your awareness drives as well. That is important. But now awareness drives for also your customers. Mr. Ashigbe said it. What is the mobile money fraud being perpetrated here is purely social engineering. And as he said earlier, we are too welcoming. We're too welcoming. We are prepared to hold a conversation with a stranger on something that you should have cut once you know it's nothing to do with you. You need to just cut that conversation right there. So I think from our side as well, like you said, we are not complacent in any way. We are very much poised to learn, take the learnings and move forward with them and make sure that we are delivering a very secure service to you. Thank you.
Awareness, awareness, awareness. I think that sums up everything we have to do as organizations, as a nation, in our educational institutions. There's nothing more than awareness. I take it we don't have any question, but ladies and gentlemen, I think, can you please, there's a hand somewhere there. You didn't raise your hand high enough. That's why I almost skipped you. Yes, I'll take your question and then we can close.
Okay, I'm Fifi Abdel Malik, and if you are listening to what Mr. Ken Ashigbe said, you said you are sometimes surprised that people who are educated also get scammed. Mr. Bruce also was telling us that he gets surprised when people have to click. So my question goes to Mr. Ken, Madam Jacqueline, and Mr. Bruce. If you look at how the interaction between customers and the telecos, they always deal with text messaging. At times, you will get up, practically, you get up and you realize that you've been deducted of center. They will tell you, oh, you subscribe to this or you subscribe to that, when absolutely you know you've not done it. So I want an answer from the expert that we will click the right thing. Being deducted. So I want a strategy or a way that going forward, people will get to know that they have to click the right thing.
Well, thank you very much. You see, one of the things that happens is that we have third parties who also provide vast services, who are authorized by the regulator so to do. But you should have subscribed to that service. So if it happens that you have not subscribed to any service, you can report to the operator. And don't take it that the fact that the text has come to your phone is coming from the operators. A lot of these vast services could come from individuals. It could come from places that you have gone, because you see now that's another challenge that we have. There's a lot of data being collected by various groups of people, and it's the reason why we all need to take up that moratorium that the Minister for Communication has done to ensure that all of us are registering as people who are collecting data. Because you go to church, you give your number. Because now, because of all this COVID thing that is happening, everywhere, every church you go to, you write your number. Me, I always write my landline number. When I go anywhere, you ask me for number, I write 03027 300 500, my office number. That's what I would give to you. But we give them out. And we are so open. So once they do that, the same way you can send text messages, you can also apply for a bulk service and start doing that. So what we do is that we also have systems, our operators have systems in place to be able to detect some of these operators who are not going by the laid down rules of making sure that you opt in before, because some of them, they want you to opt out, which is not right. So once you get that, please, dial whichever number you are on and report it. If you're having challenges, you can go to the NCA as well, but report it. But it doesn't still preclude us that you see people, you're on WhatsApp, then they'll say somebody's giving 50 gig data for free, and they will give you a link. And interestingly, the person who sent it to has not done it, but he sent it to you. And you are also sitting there and you are clicking it. So I think the two issues should be separated. The issues of the clicking should be separated from these people who also, these vast providers. But if you have any vast service that comes to you, sends you a text message that you know you have not subscribed for, normally you can send stop back to that to stop it. If it's not stopping, call your service providers and report that to them, that I did not subscribe to this service. So they'll find out which vast service provider it is and be able to take them away. And sometimes when you see some of these cyber risks, you find out that it looks as if there are spelling mistakes in the text they send to you. They are not spelling mistakes. It is because we also have AIs and bots that crawl these messages, so that we know that when they start sending you text message that talks about block, text about, things that it is only the operator that should be sending, then we know that these could be scams. So they try to play around it. They'll pretend as if they spelled it wrongly, and then they will send it to you. So once you see it, please, don't have those conversations at all. If you are in doubt, don't do anything. If you are in doubt, don't do anything. But that's what it is about those particular vast services that you get. If you get them, please. If you have not subscribed to it, just send stop to it. If it does not stop, call your operator and report it so that can stop.
I hope you got the answer you wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that the panel has done a very good job. We can give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. And before we leave, I think that each of the panelists will share 15 seconds their future, what they think 2021 holds for us. 2021, what do you think it holds for us? Digital transformation, cybersecurity, practically everything.
Well, thank you very much. The future is here. The future is not tomorrow. It's not going to change. The pace is only going to accelerate, and it offers an opportunity for all of us to be able to take advantage of it. We just have to be wise. We need to be aware. Cyber hygiene, cyber awareness. Let's learn that and take advantage of what the opportunities hold for us. Let's give opportunities to our children to be able to take advantage of that, so that we will be able to bridge this development gap that we have, riding on the back of technology. We are in the middle of the world, and it's an opportunity that it gives to us, and we can take advantage of it. We speak English. The literacy level, IT literacy level of our people are good. Let's make sure that the right laws are in place, right regulations are in place, and we also are collaborating to ensure that we all can win together. Thank you.
So 2021, digital transformation is here. It's adoption is much faster than we would have liked, but hey, we are bang in the middle of it. Let's take advantage of it. Let's get involved. For the young people, if you find spare time on your hands, learn. Learn. There's so much available. There's so much you can learn. There's design thinking. There's so many amazing things. Like Mr. Shibe said earlier, it's flat now. The opportunities are the same across the world. Take advantage of the opportunities. Let's try and bridge the gap. One thing I would wish to see more of is inclusivity. You have the kids in the private school learning on Google Meet and the like. It's my wish that the public schools will come along so that all the kids would have like a level playing field, and the right infrastructure will be put in place to be able to bridge the gap, especially in the education space. So 2020, I think, listen, the future is here. The future is now, like Mr. Ashibe said. Let's take advantage of it. Let's learn. Let's collaborate more. Let's come together. Let's help each other. And let's build Ghana, make Ghana better. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I would like to say is that digital transformation is opening up a lot of remote opportunities, not just remotely in Ghana, but globally. We've seen the market for the IT space increase across board. So if we can develop ourselves, we will be able to place ourselves in a vital position to take advantage of these. Now you can have clients not just in Ghana and in Africa, but across the whole world. And whereas before you had to have maybe a work permit, travel there before you can work or have a client, by virtue of digital transformation, you can work remotely. So I think it falls on us as individuals to develop ourselves, gain the necessary capabilities, and then be able to offer our services, not just locally, but globally as well. Thank you.
I recall an experience about 15 years ago when the internet was very much starting. I was part of a research group. There was a professor from London School of Economics who came here, and we were doing some research about the use of the internet. And we went to EMA, and there was, during that time we had a lot of internet cafes all over the place, and there was this young girl, late teens, and she was chatting. Okay, she was chatting on the internet, and my professor colleague just told her, "But are you aware that there are other things on the internet?" And she said no. And he just showed her a few things, and she was shocked. All she thought that the internet provided was chatting. So that's all she was doing. She would go and sit in the cafe and chat. Okay? And she was amazed about things that she could do. To me, this now is a second realization of what is available. Some of the things that I've done, explored certain tourist sites that complete virtual reality and roaming through. I was able to go through the Vatican. I've gone to the Grand Canyon. I've gone, by sitting here, I've gone. I mean, if between me and the person who has really gone there, we know the same thing. Okay? And I think this should be a strong realization that the negativity around the internet, I mean, we should dissipate it and look at the positive things that are in it that we can ride on and grow ourselves. Charlie, guys, the safest place to be in the world right now is Ghana.
Thank you very much. 2021, what I would say is that the cloud, as we've talked about earlier, is the only thing that survived during this pandemic. And I think it continues to trailblaze. And we should support it, but we should be mindful of data, right? So data governance, who has access to the data, data residency, data sovereignty. These are key issues that we have to put our minds to, right? For NITA, what we are doing is that just even before COVID happened, we were working on a digital transformation strategy for the country, which actually looked at all the sectors. So it was cross-sectorial. We are working on that, and hopefully soon it will be out, in addition to the digital policy that we talked about that the Ministry of Communications is championing. But what we would also want to do is to collaborate a lot more. Our doors are open at NITA. We want to partner with anyone, and as a regulator, we want to impart knowledge. So we'll be organizing regular virtual sessions on different topics to also give people access to information. Information, as they say, is advantage. So let us embrace it, and embrace it fully being aware of the risks that are there as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear panel. It's been a wonderful afternoon. It's 12:30. You've been very patient. Clearly, you've enjoyed the conversation here. I'd like to thank all of you for making time, taking time off work, getting here on time, just so that we could actually impart to you. There's no end to learning. Let's not wait for National Cybersecurity, the Cybersecurity Awareness Month to gather here. Let's continue learning all the time. There are people around, and the resources are on the online. Just go online, and you'd get practically everything you want. And if you're a professional, I also encourage you. Yes, I'm with ISACA, and I'm the president for ISACA, so it's okay to talk to you about ISACA. Go and get a certification. That's the only way. Because somebody said that you can market yourself elsewhere. Do that and actually be, enhance your competency and make yourself, better than what you currently are. There's no end to what we want to do. To the National Cybersecurity Secretariat, I would like to say a very big thank you. This has been a wonderful time. We hope that we'll continue doing this more often. Let's give them a round of applause because they have made this possible. And all the speakers have attested to the work that's been done, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalsaki and team, for your insightful deliberations on our theme for the day. So, Ghana is the safest place to be around this time. And Madam Jacqueline Hansen mentioned that the future is, who remembers? The future is now. The future is now. And I would like to share two things that I learned during the panel discussion. And they mentioned that the only avenue to your data is through the only. Thank you very much. Hello? They also mentioned that collaboration is the way forward during this era. Collaboration is the way forward during this era. So I would want you to collaborate with the National Cybersecurity Center and report any cybersecurity or cybercrime incident to our website on www.cybersecurity.gov.gh/report, or you can use our mobile platforms, NCSC Ghana, or you could also send us an SMS, or you call us on 292, or you send an email to report@cybersecurity.gov.gh, or you can send a WhatsApp 050-160 311. So I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors. Once again, we have Carl Bank, Surfline, Deloitte, Zero Fox, eCrime Bureau, Innovari, Thales, Margins ID, Tennessee, Hello. Thank you very much. Isaka Accra Chapter, Isoko. We also have our partners, Council of Europe, Data Protection Commission, World Bank, National Communications Authority, GIFEC, NITA, African Union, UNICEF, ITU, Accra Digital Center, GDNR. Then we have our media partners, Joy News, Metro TV, GBC, Ghana Web, Graphic Online, Kantanka Television, Peace FM, Africa TV, yen.com.gh, City FM, and Homebase TV. So like I mentioned early on at the beginning of our session, the only stability and security we have, especially during this era, is change. So let's have a paradigm shift. Let's embrace change and digital transformation now. Thank you very much for coming. God bless you.
Technology that offer us access and convenience and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there. There are many reasons we choose to protect things. Because they're valuable, or vulnerable, precious, or priceless. And to secure the most essential elements in our connected world, we rely on cybersecurity professionals certified by ISC Squared. Their proven expertise helps safeguard the data and technology that offer us access and convenience and shields the lives we want to lead. In a world worth protecting, ISC Squared is there.
Today, sensitive data is everywhere. Data is located in many places, from on-premises data centers to the cloud. Siloed and legacy approaches can't quickly respond to evolving data privacy and protection regulations and aren't addressing new hacker tactics, leaving organizations exposed. Data is being distributed across cloud and hybrid environments at accelerated rates to meet the demands of the growing remote workers, further adding to the complexity of protecting sensitive data. A piecemeal collection of data security products operated by an overburdened staff will never meet today's compliance and security challenges. An easier and unified approach to discover, protect, and control sensitive data everywhere is the only pragmatic way to protect your organizations at the rate and scale required by today's risks and transformation initiatives. Data security and compliance starts with finding your exposed sensitive data before hackers and auditors. This data can be in many forms: files, databases, and big data, and can rest across storage on your premises, in clouds, and across backups. Once you've identified databases and file systems that contain sensitive data, you can then apply data-centric protection, such as encryption, granular access controls, and tokenization. For encryption and tokenization to successfully secure sensitive data, the cryptographic keys themselves must be secured, managed, and controlled by your organization. Finally, virtually every data security regulation